Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, we're reading the Bible. We're reading the Jehovah's Witness version. We are on Numbers 14, verse 39. When Moses proceeded to speak these words to all the sons of Israel, then the people began to mourn a great deal. Moreover, they got up early in the morning and tried to go up to the top of the mountain, saying, "Here we are, and we have to go up to the place that Jehovah mentioned, for we have sinned." But Moses said, "Why is it that you are passing beyond the order of Jehovah? But that will not succeed. Do not go up, because Jehovah is not in your midst, that you may not be defeated before your enemies. For the Amalekites and the Canaanites are there before you, and you are certain to fall by the sword, because for the reason that you turn back from following Jehovah, Jehovah will not continue with you." However, they presumed to go up to the top of the mountain, but the ark of Jehovah's covenant and Moses did not move away from the midst of the camp. Then the Amalekites and the Canaanites were dwelling in that mountain came on down and began striking them and went scattering them as far as Hormah. Alright, now we're in Numbers 15, okay? And Jehovah spoke further to Moses, saying, "Speak to the sons of Israel, and you must say to them, when you eventually come into the land of your dwelling places, which I am giving you, and you must render up an offering made by fire to Jehovah, a burnt offering or a sacrifice to perform a special vow or voluntarily or during your seasonal festivals, in order to make a restful odor to Jehovah, from the herd or from the flock. The one presenting his offering must also present to Jehovah a grain offering of fine flour." Okay, grain offering. "A tenth of an ephah, moistened with a fourth of hin of oil. And you should render up wine as a drink offering." Alcohol, "The fourth of a hin, together with the burnt offering, or for the sacrifice of each male lamb. Or for a ram you should render up a grain offering of 2/10 of fine flour, moistened with a third of hin of oil. And you should present wine as a drink offering, a third of a hin, as a restful odor to Jehovah." So they contend that wine is a restful odor for God. "But in case you should render up a male of the herd as a burnt offering, or a sacrifice to perform a special vow, or communion sacrifices to Jehovah, one must also present together with the male of the herd a grain offering of 3/10 of fine flour, moistened with half a hin of oil. And you should present wine as a drink offering, half a hin, as an offering made by fire of a restful odor to Jehovah. This is the way it should be done for each bull, or for each ram, or for one head among the male lambs, or among the goats. Whatever may be the number that you may render up, that is the way you should do for each one according to the number of them. Every native should render up these in this way, in presenting an offering made by fire, of a restful odor to Jehovah. And in case there should be residing as an alien with you an alien resident, or one who is in your midst for generations of you, and he must render up an offering made by fire of a restful odor to Jehovah, just as you should do, so should he do." Okay, so even immigrants, newly arrived residents and such, are supposed to participate. "You who are of the congregation and the alien resident who is residing as an alien will have one statute. It will be a statute to time indefinite for your generations. The alien resident should prove to be the same as you before Jehovah." Oh, prove to be the same. Okay, integration. "There should prove to be one law and one judicial decision for you and for the alien resident who is residing as an alien with you." So both are under the same law. No separate laws for illegals, no separate law for citizens, essentially. Well, divine law. "And Jehovah went on to speak to Moses, saying, Speak to the sons of Israel, and you must say to them, on your coming into the land where I am bringing you, it must also occur that when you eat any of the bread of the land, you should make a contribution to Jehovah. You should make a contribution of the first fruits of your course meal as ring-shaped cakes, like the contribution of a threshing floor is the way you should contribute it. Some of the first fruits of your course meal you should give as contribution to Jehovah throughout your generations. The first fruits. Now, in case you should make a mistake and not do all these commandments, which Jehovah has spoken to Moses, all that Jehovah has commanded you by means of Moses from the day that Jehovah commanded and onward for your generations, it must then occur that if it has been done far from the eyes of the assembly by mistake, the whole assembly must then render up one young bull as a burnt offering for a restful odor to Jehovah, and its grain offering and its drink offering according to the regular procedure, and one kid of the goats as a sin offering. And the priests must make atonement for the whole assembly of the sons of Israel, and it must be forgiven them, because it was a mistake. And they, for their part, brought as their offering an offering made by fire to Jehovah, and their sin offering before Jehovah, for their mistake. And it must be forgiven, the whole assembly of the sons of Israel, and the alien resident who is residing as an alien in their midst, because it was by mistake on the part of the people. And if any soul should sin by mistake, then he must present a female goat in its first year for a sin offering. And the priest must make atonement for the soul who made a mistake by a sin unintentionally before Jehovah, so as to make atonement for it, and it must be forgiven him. As to the native among the sons of Israel, and the alien resident who is residing as an alien in their midst, there should prove to be one law for you, as respects doing something unintentionally. But the soul that does something deliberately, whether he is a native or an alien resident, he is speaking abusively of Jehovah. In that case, that soul must be cut off from among the people. Look at this. So, even if you're a native or an alien resident, if you're blaspheming God, you need to be cut off from the society. And right now you have communists and anarchists attacking churches. Think about that. Because it is Jehovah's word that he has despised, and his commandment that he has broken, that soul should be cut off without fail. His own error is upon him. While the sons of Israel were continuing in the wilderness, they once found a man collecting pieces of wood on the Sabbath day. Then those who found him collecting pieces of wood brought him up to Moses and Aaron and the whole assembly. So they committed him into custody, because it had not been distinctly stated what should be done to him. In time, Jehovah said to Moses, "Without fail, the man should be put to death, the whole assembly pelting him with stones outside the camp." Oh, this is the famous story where atheists will say that that's such brutality that your life is snuffed out simply because you are picking up sticks. Accordingly, the whole assembly brought him forth outside the camp and pelted him with stones so that he died, just as Jehovah had commanded Moses. And Jehovah went on to say this to Moses, "Speak to the sons of Israel, and you must say to them that they must make for themselves fringed edges upon the skirts of their garments throughout their generations." Fringed edges, huh? "And they must put a blue string above the fringe edge of the skirt, and it must serve as a fringe edge for you, and you must see it and remember all the commandments of Jehovah and do them. And you must not go about following your hearts and your eyes, which you are following in immoral intercourse. The purpose is that you may remember and may certainly do all my commandments in your deed, prove to be holy to your God. I am Jehovah your God, who have brought you out of the land of Egypt, in order to prove myself your God. I am Jehovah your God." Okay, fringe the edges with a blue line. That's interesting. Maybe the reason why they, decided to punish him with death is for not simply for the fact that he was collecting pieces of wood on the Sabbath, but that there's a code of conduct. The law is the law, and you need to make sure that you keep the fray in, because if he starts doing it and everyone starts doing it, then slowly by intervals, less and less people hold the Sabbath. So maybe back then that was like a big transgression to not be part of the group what they're supposed to be doing.